Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor, along with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maislin. We've got Bengals to talk about. We've got a Bengals road trip to Milwaukee and Green Bay to talk about. We've got some college football, some college basketball to touch on, our betting segment, and my favorite portion of the podcast where you can ask me a question on any topic. I enjoy the sports questions. I enjoy the offbeat questions more. Go to the Twitterverse, hit up the hashtag AskSkinnyAnything. We got a big one today, Rick, so let's get going.
Yeah, let's get into it. We'll start with the Bengals game. They lost to the Packers 27-18 on Sunday. They have the short turnaround with the Thursday night game at home against the Steelers. I've seen it called the Icy Hot Bowl. I've seen it called the Geezer Bowl. They're making fun of Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco, two 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks going at it head-to-head. But Skinny, one of the things I wanted to start with is Mike Tomlin's comments on the Joe Flacco trade, because he called out the Browns GM by name, saying like, why he's shocked that they did it. And also, why would you trade a guy who you think enough of to start opening day for your organization to a division opponent who's struggling at that position? What did you make of Mike Tomlin's comments?
It's multi-pronged. Number one, he's not wrong. I mean, you don't usually trade inside the division. You're not trying to help a division rival. Obviously this is a short-term potential fix for the Bengals. So I get that part of it. The Browns, I think, know their season is over anyway, so get whatever capital you can get. And they swapped a 6th-round pick for a 5th-round pick next year. So they move up a round in the draft. And I think that's what they're looking at is building for the future. Obviously, they're starting rookie Dillon Gabriel at the moment at quarterback. The other part, though, if I'm a Bengals fan, I kind of like these comments because it would make me think, Mike Tomlin's a little bit afraid of Joe Flacco. He's afraid that Joe Flacco is going to help the Bengals. And the Bengals are the closest team chasing them. So that's why he's mad about this. I thought it was multifaceted. I did a story at Local12.com. And the numbers for Mike Tomlin on Thursday night road games aren't good. He's 2-8 on the road in Thursday night games. He's 0-6 in the division on Thursday night games. So would he rather face Jake Browning, who was struggling, or veteran Joe Flacco, who's got some skin in the game?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this last week, but we got talking about different things. We kind of spun off in different directions. I didn't get back to it. But why do you think the Browns were so willing to trade Joe Flacco to the Bengals? Do you think it was simply a situation where we're not going to be competitive this year, so it doesn't matter to us?
Yes. No, absolutely. And listen, if Joe Flacco was 28 years old in his 7th season, still had enormous upside for years to come, I don't think you do this. I think they understand it's a short-term solution. Now, I would tell you this, if all things work out for Joe Flacco and the Bengals this year, and he still shows he has some juice in the tank, I think he's your backup next year to Joe Burrow. And so maybe you did help the Bengals into next season. So I think at least on the surface, it's like, let's get something for a guy we're not going to play anymore anyway. We're all in on the kids, and let's just play those guys. That way we don't have to worry about the controversy of why is Shador starting and not Joe Flacco. So I do get that. The flip side, too, of this is, as much as I think Mike Tomlin's comments show that he's a little worried that this has helped the Bengals, maybe the Browns looked at him like, take him, man. He got nothing left in the tank. Doesn't matter to us. You do what you need him. Great, take him. We don't need him. We don't want him. He's not any good anymore.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I can see that logic. But to Mike Tomlin's point, if you think that way and that's what you thought when you traded him, then it's probably an indictment on your evaluation abilities, considering you were willing to start the season with him. You
were willing to start the season with him because you had 2 rookies, neither of whom is all that highly regarded. I mean, Dillon Gabriel was a 3rd-round pick. Shador was a 5th-round pick. And so you're taking the lesser of all evils of, look, the guy's won games in this league. He's going to be our guy we'll let the rookies watch and sit for a little bit, or sit and watch for a little bit and learn how to be a pro, learn how to prepare for games. They saw a little bit of that and finally said, okay, let's go with the kids at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I get how that plays out that way, but if I'm the GM, I'm not admitting that's a bad look. I think that looks like you did a pretty awful job of putting this roster together once again, which has kind of been their thing.
Yeah, it's kind of been their thing. Yes.
Yeah. Have you mentioned Joe Flacco sticking around to be the backup for Joe Burrow in the future, potentially even? Have they talked at all? I haven't gone through every press conference since the game. Have those two interacted at all?
Burrow and Flacco?
Yeah, Burrow and Flacco.
Yeah, I think he said last week that he had talked to Joe. He said, I know he can be a resource for me. I don't know how close it is. Joe's been in the building some. I didn't see him yesterday, but I saw him these old days, right? I guess it was last Monday. I saw him walk in the locker room in a walking boot. The good part was he was walking. He wasn't using a scooter or anything. So, yeah, I've seen him. I know he's been in the building some. I know he hasn't gone to games yet. I know he didn't go to the last home game. Maybe he goes to the Thursday night game. I don't know. They're trying to kind of keep out of sight, out of mind. So, yeah, I know he said he wants to use Joe as a resource. Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I would think that. I mean, maybe you kind of want to do your own thing a little bit and you don't want a bunch of extra suggestions, but I would think, especially a guy who's as well regarded as Joe Burrow for his mind for the game, his football IQ, that you'd be like, hey, you've mastered this offense over the last few years. Anything you can give me or any tips you can give me with working with Jamar and T or anything like that would be useful. So I was just curious about that. Let me ask you this about Sunday's game specifically, Skinny. Did you see a team that was still pretty much a disaster and tacked on a late touchdown and a few stats to make it look a little bit better offensively? Or did you see a team that it understandably took some time because you got a brand new quarterback trying to figure out your system in a few days, that started slow and got better as the game went on and gave you a real reason for some hope?
Yeah, I think the latter. I mean, keep in mind last week, Jamar Chase was sick and was in only, I think, a practice and then took part in the Friday walkthrough. He literally said after the game that he and Flacco had taken all of 12 reps together in practice. I mean, that's not very much, right? And I think for Flacco, too, it was kind of a feeling out process of what works, what doesn't. Where do I know T's going to be? Where do I know Jamar's going to be? I need to take easy completions. I thought the last drive before the end of the first half, the one where McPherson, missed the 67-yard field goal after making the 67-yard field goal, it started to click. And then in the second half, you saw him start to trust T and Jamar more. You saw him take easy completions. You saw him literally like first receiver open 6 yards here. You take it, get me another 2 on after Yak. We'll have 2nd and 2. And Jamar had 8 of his 10 catches in the second half. T had 5 of his 6 catches or 4 of his 5. I can't remember what it was, but basically it was like, okay, I know what these guys can do. He even talked about, he knows how good these guys are. I mean, he's not stupid. He's seen them before. He knows of them. But he talked about walking the sideline at one point and telling Jake Browning, like, these guys just plucked the ball out of the air. Like he said, I threw a pass to T, and he made a catch, and then instead of sliding to the ground and catching it with his body, he caught it with his hands and got extra yards. And Jamar just one time I threw a bad ball. It wasn't even a very good spiral. And he just plucked it out of the air. And I think that's where you go, okay, I think you got to see it. You know what these guys are. You know how good these guys are. It still was another thing to trust. Like, I think in Cleveland, he had receivers that you're a quarterback who's been in the league a long time. You know where to throw passes landmark-wise. Like, if it's a 15-yard dig, you know exactly where it's supposed to go. If it's a back shoulder, you know exactly where it's supposed to go. Well, in Cleveland, he's got Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, and those guys just kind of don't hit landmarks a lot of times, and they make you look bad because of that, or balls ricochet off their hands. He threw 2 picks against the Bengals, both ricocheted off receivers' hands. And again, you know about T and Jamar if you're Joe Flacco. You're not stupid to it, but you got to see it and take part in it before you finally go, okay, I can trust it. Like the touchdown throw to Jamar.
Yeah, that was a great throw.
It's a great ball, but a great catch. But there was a trust there of, this dude's good. I think he's going to make a play for me. And he did. And I'm not here to tell you throw a bunch of jump balls every game or a bunch of 50-50s. But when you start to understand the trust of when I'm throwing a 15-yard dig and he's going to be in the spot where I'm expecting him to be, and then he is every single time, bam, bam, completion.
No, that's a great point. That throw you're talking about specifically illustrates what you were just saying so well, because it really is like oh, wait, he's capable of that. Okay, so if I just throw it to that spot, he's going to win the one-on-one. Like, right. He will win that matchup, and he'll adjust to whatever he has to do. Man, that was a fantastic play on both ends. And okay, let's go here. Scale of 1 to 10. Where was your confidence before, like going back to last week, before the Flacco thing? Where was your confidence that this team could play 500 football the rest of the way until Joe Burrow got back? And where would it be now after seeing Flacco for a game? 1 to 10.
Probably 2 before and 5 or 6 after, because there's just so many problems on the other side of the ball still. I mean, like, Sunday's a perfect example of this defense in a nutshell. mean, they hold Green Bay to 10 points in the first half. And yeah, Green Bay drove the field a couple of times. They did get an interception to stop a drive, but they also forced a couple of punts. And then in the second half, you get it to 10-7. Boom, right down the field goes Green Bay 17-7. You get it to 17-10. Boom, right down the field goes Green Bay 24-10. You get it to 24-18. Boom, right down the field goes Green Bay to kick the field goal, converting that 3rd and 8 where Jordan Love had 4.8 seconds to throw a pass. I mean, the defense is still just, I don't even want to call it a work in progress. It's just not good. And I don't know how it gets better. Now you're playing 2 rookie linebackers, and I think it's the right idea. I think it's the right thing to do. You're trying to, as Logan Wilson said yesterday, they said they were looking for a spark, and they're trying to get the young guys to give them a spark. Well, I thought they both have had moments, but you also saw in the Josh Jacobs touchdown run, right? One linebacker goes to this C gap, one linebacker goes to this C gap, and guess who's in the A gap? Nobody. Now, you could argue a defensive tackle probably should have been in the A gap to help stop that.
Well, those guys are non-existent.
And I talked to Barrett about it yesterday, and he said, we both just made a bad play. And I'm, in my mind, I'm like, that's just a rookie mistake that probably isn't going to happen 7 games from now, next year, 2 years from now. But it happened then, and it cost you a touchdown.
And you got 2 of them out there doing it at the same time together, working in tandem. Yeah, I was, Bear Carter, rookie, 4th round pick. Is that, yeah. He got he played every snap in this game, I think. And Logan Wilson only played, 12? 9?
No, he did play 12. I was thinking about, because Demetrius Knight played 56, but they also played a handful of 4-3 defense. So Logan was in there when they had 3 linebackers.
Do you think this is a situation where they've flipped it and it's the rookie's time and they're going to get the rest of the season? Or is this a situation where it's like, well, we wanted to see what it looked like and we missed a ton of tackles in this game. Those 2 rookie linebackers did not grade out well, and maybe Logan's going to slide back in there a bit more? Or what?
I think they've made the decision to move on from Logan Wilson. I mean, I think
Logan's fallen off quick.
Yeah. Well, I hate to do this because our friend Paul Daner Jr. and Jay Morrison have a preseason podcast. They had it at Tom's Watch Bar this year, and they invite all the beat writers to come in, and we do it in segments. And one of the things they ask us to do is give us a couple of hot takes for this season, or a guy you're buying or selling. And I said, I hate to do this. I'm selling Logan Wilson. I just think the time has come to move on. And I think I even said, I'm going to predict that before game 6 or 7, he's not starting anymore. I'm not here to tell you I'm a genius. You know me. I'll admit when I'm wrong, right?
You're kind of a genius in this moment. Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, this was one where you could just feel it coming. Like, it didn't look good in camp. It didn't look good in preseason. I thought he did have a good opener. The goofy part was, after saying all that, I thought he had a really good opener. And remember, he left for a bit because they put him in concussion protocol, and he came back and played and played, I thought, pretty well. And I thought, good, I'm going to eat my words on this because I like Logan, and Logan's been a big part of some really good teams, and he's just a pro's pro and all those things. You say these things and you don't root against people for that. It's just what you believe and kind of what you think you know. And I think it's just time. I think you're saying it's just the baton's passed. Logan ain't happy about it. I get it. I think he still thinks he's got something left in the tank, and maybe he does. I mean, Jermaine Pratt went and made 13 tackles, I think, this past weekend for the Colts. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Is this his 5th season, Logan Wilson's?
No, he was drafted in 19. No, I take it back. He was drafted in 20. He was in Burrow's class. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26 season.
So this is his 6th season. He's played 5. Do you think he's just lost a step athletically? Like, that's a quick fall off, man.
He's had different injuries, right? I mean, last year he missed towards the end of the year, I believe, with a knee procedure. And again, we all think those things are just easy, right? Like, oh, he just had a knee procedure. Well, you go have a knee procedure and see if you're the same as a recreational softball player. I mean, or a rec basketball player. You're probably not. But that's it. It's so funny when we think about these things, right? Like, oh, Jim just had a torn labrum repaired. Yeah, and then he comes back at those 98 miles an hour. Do you know how hard that is to do? I mean, that's really hard. And we don't think anything of it. We just think, yeah, he's a finely tuned athlete. He's young. He's in his 20s. He'll bounce back 100%. Some do. Some don't. And I think you're seeing that with Orlando Brown to some degree. I just, for whatever reason, when you start to get injuries, for a lot of these guys, it takes its toll. I hate to do this. I wouldn't be shocked if you look at a different Joe Burrow moving forward, to be honest with you. It hasn't been the case so far. I mean, the dude's like a robot, like coming back from major knee surgery and major wrist surgery and playing at an MVP caliber level last year. I don't think anybody understands how hard that really was.
It's incredible. And, now you add another one on top of it. And it's like, I don't know that he was still the same physically. I know he put up the numbers last year, but I think, there's that wrist surgery took a little bit of a toll on him. I think he's dealt with that to some extent. And you have to wonder if the toe situation is going to be similar, specifically on the missed tackles that we saw in this game. That was something that they talked about a lot after the game. Do you see anything else there aside from the rookie linebackers? Do you put most of it on
everybody?
them?
Jordan Battle is horrible. Jordan Battle missed tackles. Stone missed tackles. The defensive line missed tackles.
You know who looks good, though? DJ Turner has played well.
DJ, we're going to get to DJ. Yeah, he's played great. And I want to get to him in a second. We talked to Al Golden yesterday, and he knew some of the hard questions about Logan were coming, about Cam Taylor-Britt. And he's very, I like Al. I think he speaks as honestly as he can speak. And Kelsey Conway literally said, because one of us was going to ask this question of, and he's told us before the number. She said, do you have a number of missed tackles you can tell us? And he had his head down. And he just looked at it. He goes, it was a lot. It's like, yeah, I'm not, you guys saw it. I think he even said, you guys saw it. Sure. And when you had a coach going, it was a lot, it was probably a number he doesn't want to put out there.
Yeah. All right. What do you have on DJ Turner? What do you want to get to there?
Well, so I don't want to jump to this conclusion, but that performance was just off the charts. I mean, 5 passes defensed. If he can be that guy, that shutdown corner, and Al even talked yesterday, he may have let it slip that, I'm going to put him on the best receiver on the other team. And then he was asked about a matchup with DK Metcalf. He goes, well, I don't want to get into that right now about who's going to cover who. Well, you just kind of let the cat out of the bag.
I think you already did, bud.
Yeah, of what you're going to do. But if he turns into that shutdown corner, like a legit shutdown corner, I think that's the one thing that can help this defense, because then you can allocate resources elsewhere. Maybe you can even blitz more and say, you know what, I'm trusting that guy in man coverage. I got to trust my other guy in man coverage against the lesser receiver and see what it does. So I think that's my one hope going forward for the defense is that DJ Turner continues to be that guy. It allows Al Golden then to do some other things to mask all the other problems on the defense.
Yeah, there's not much to be excited about right now from a defensive perspective, but DJ Turner has me a little bit excited. It's like, oh, he might be a dude. And, Shamar Stewart's coming back. So hopefully he'll shine again, because that defensive line, that pass rush needs some real help. So you could get those two guys going. Maybe it is the spark they're quote unquote looking for.
And I'll be honest, I think Joseph Osai's been solid. He's kind of been Sam Hubbard-ish solid. The problem is you get no push in the middle. Chris Jenkins had that game up in Minnesota where he had a 1.5 sacks, and they seem like they love Chris Jenkins, yet they don't play Chris Jenkins that much. But BJ Hill gives you nothing at the moment, in my opinion. TJ Slayton gives you very little at the moment. I mean, you get nothing in the interior.
They feel completely non-existent. There's no push. The runs, there's holes right up the middle. And like in terms of the run game, they don't collapse anything. They don't shrink holes. They don't fill. It's just like whatever you want to do kind of in that middle of the Bengals defense, you can do.
Yeah, that's right.
One Ask Skinny Anything question that we had that I'm going to bring up now because it's so specific to what we're talking about goes back to the offensive side. This guy asked, I agree with past analysis that Bengals have tried to fix the offensive line, but it clearly hasn't worked. Why do you think they are so bad at offensive line development / identification when other teams get high-level starters from mid-round picks and Bengals can't get that with top picks and free agents?
That is a good question. I'll give you an answer here in a second. I will tell you this. Across the league, the offensive line play is just not very good. I mean, my God, Justin Fields we listened to the game driving up from Milwaukee to Green Bay, that London game, the Denver game. I watched the first half before we left, and so at the end, Justin Fields gets sacked for the 10th time. Can you imagine the beating of the drums in this marketplace if a quarterback got sacked 10 times? And I all of a sudden I started doing the math, and I literally blurted out in the car. I went, God, they're going to finish with negative 10 yards passing, because sack yardage in the NFL counts as passing yardage. Can you think? Negative 10 yards passing in the National freaking Football League.
No,
it's insane.
It is, and obviously your offensive line stinks if you're getting sacked 10 times, but I also like Justin Fields. I've watched him play a little bit, and I imagine some of those are probably on him, if I had to guess.
Sure,
as well.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying, I think offensive line play across the league. But back to the guy's question. I think he's whiffed on every offensive line coach he's hired, including the current guy, Scott Peters. In fact, I think he's whiffed significantly on Scott Peters, to the point where I think there are some other people on the coaching staff helping out Scott Peters. That's how bad it's been. That's how bad he's been.
What didn't he teach him like judo or karate or something? That quick strike didn't work.
Right. Last I checked, I don't think you're playing karate up front. I think
that didn't work. Bummer.
Yeah.
I thought it was so promising.
Yeah, I think the other part to it is they have misevaluated in drafts. Like Jackson Carman should be a starter right now if he's a second round pick, right? And he didn't do anything for you other than have 2 good playoff games, which God love him, he did have 2 good playoff games in 2022. You drafted Amarius Mims, and I think he's still a work in progress. But if it's an offensive line coach who's messing up, how's that helping his development? Orlando Brown, I think the injury from last year has sapped him. So I think, again, I think the main reason, back to the question, is he's whiffed on 3 offensive line coaches: Jim Turner, Frank Pollock, who I don't think was as bad as people thought, but again, got fired for a reason, and now Scott Peters. I think that's it in a nutshell. And then the misevaluation of players like Jackson Carman, Deontay Smith, Cordell Volson. They just misevaluated. And it goes back to, I think that's the primary reason this roster's in the mess it's in at the moment, is because they've just been so poor of late in drafting people. And you just can't keep whiffing and going, here, make chicken salad out of this because we took him in the 4th round or we took him in the 2nd round. Well, that's great. You took him in the 2nd round. He ain't playing like a 2nd rounder. He's playing like a dud because everybody thought he was a dud.
Yeah, back to your point about the quality of offensive line play being down across the league in general. I haven't done the research on this, so I have no idea. Maybe you'll know better, but I do think there is like a tendency from fans to think if our quarterback gets sacked at all, the offensive line stinks.
Right.
Like that's a major indictment.
Right.
It's like in the NFL, when you're dealing with, these $50 million pass rushers who are absolute freaks, and they know you're in a passing situation and they're pinning their ears back and come after you, like you're going to lose those one-on-one battle or even one-on-2 battles sometimes if you're trying to chip him and offer some help. That's going to happen. You're going to take sacks. And we've even talked about Joe Burrow being in certain 3rd down situations where he's like, hey, I'm going to extend the play and take a sack if I have to because the upside is worth it here in this spot. But there's a difference between your guy getting sacked a little bit and those decisions and all of that. And I think that goes on more across the league than any individual fan base wants to admit, and not being able to run the football at all. That's where the Bengals find themselves this year, is they cannot get the running game going at all. Do you see those types of struggles with other offensive lines and other teams, or do you think that's more of an indictment? That's how you know the Bengals stink from an offensive line standpoint.
I just think in general, both pass block and run block, offensive line play is down. And I think it goes back to college offenses are just not structured the way NFL offenses are structured. That's why for me, give me veteran NFL tape every time. And I can't have 5 free agent signees being on the offensive line when I'm paying the quarterback, the 2 wide receivers, and the pass rusher at the moment. I can't afford all of that. So you got to hit occasionally, like you got to hit on Mims. Mims can't be 3 years from now and you go, man, he never really quite panned out, or he's injury prone or whatever. I mean, this has got to be like, this is a 10-year starter, and he's on his 2nd contract and all those things. So yeah, I just think plays down. I will say this. I thought the offensive line, great's not the right word, but I thought they were really good on Sunday. This is a Green Bay defense that is really good at rushing the passer, and Micah Parsons
run for 30 yards.
But Micah Parsons came in having 3 straight games with 7 quarterback pressures. How much did you notice Micah Parsons on Sunday? Not much.
I mean, he wasn't super disruptive. I thought he was still pretty good. But Skinny, my thing is just like, it's going to be hard to win games, whether it's Jake Browning or Joe Flacco, if you can't establish the run at all.
Well,
and they can't establish the run at all.
I thought in the second half, again, when Flacco started taking easy completions, getting him in decent down and distances, getting you to 2nd and 3s, where 2nd and 3s, the whole playbook's open. 1st and 10s, you're either running or play passing for the most part. And so, there were a couple of noticeable plays where Jalen Rivers got some push, and you started to see some of that. And I go back to, is somebody else helping on the offensive line at the moment, coaching them better, coaching them differently, coaching them up to where, that's the thing that's going to unlock the run game of this. Scott Peters just didn't do it. So we've got to go help him with others on the staff. And the others on the staff are the ones that kind of have unlocked this a little bit. So I'm really interested to see it moving forward, because I did think in the second half, they did unlock some things in the run game. You did see a couple of times Chase Brown or Samaje Perine get to the 2nd level. You haven't seen that very much this year. You're getting Lucas Patrick back this week, and we can laugh at, he's just an old veteran who, was a cast-off signee. That's all well and good. To be honest with you, Rick, their best probably drive of the year was the very first drive in Cleveland, where they mixed the run and the pass really well, and Chase Brown carried 7 times for 29 yards. And then Lucas Patrick got hurt and hasn't played since. And is he the main difference? No. But can he make a difference? Ted Karras told a couple of us back in training camp, he's the best run blocking offensive lineman they have. Well, he's been out. You don't think that doesn't make a little difference?
I think Lucas Patrick was the best judo chopper on their team, and now they're missing that. That's what I think.
It was a fun story about the judo chopper, and
it was good. It had everyone in a chokehold there for a week during the preseason.
When you're at 4 or 5 games into a season, into a guy's first year as a coach, and people are questioning whether he's the right guy, that's a freaking problem in the hiring process, and that falls on Zach. Dude. That's on you. You've whiffed on this 3 times, man. 3 times. Yep. Maybe now that Brian Callahan's fired, the dad quits and dad comes and coaches the Bengals offensive line.
Do you think that's a possibility? I know people are clamoring for that. Do you think there's a chance?
I don't this year. Then the question is, does Zach get another bite at the apple if things go bad next year? I do think, if Zach does get another bite at the apple, that yes, I think that Bill Callahan will be the offensive line coach next year.
All right. Anything else? Bengals, Steelers here that you want to get to?
No, I will say this. I mean, for this game, and I guess we can wait to the pick 'em say. I'll wait for the pick. Well, I'll do it now. I mean, This game to me is the season because I didn't think they were going to Green Bay and winning. Nobody did. And I think even we talked on the podcast last week. Just go up and give a good showing to the point where you're like, okay, there's a competent offense now. There's a pathway to winning games, and I think there is. Go up there, give a competent showing, so at least you have some. Okay, so you did that. Now you come home for the 3-game stretch, starting with the Steelers. You lose this game, that's 5 in a row, and whatever hope you gain there will be quashed to the point of, boy, there ain't many others. You go win this game, though. You got 2 more winnable games to go with the Lions or the Jets and the Bears, rather, and before the bye. And there's a pathway to 5-4 at the bye. You're 5-4 at the bye with 3 straight wins, then okay, you've really got a chance, and you really kind of have righted your season to a point where now you're in the playoff mix. You lose this one to me, you're done.
It's hard to imagine them winning 3 straight games, but I mean, I think you're right. As much as I get so annoyed by the must-win talk, especially at this time of year, it's like for this Bengals team and the way this season is unfolding, this is as close as you can get to making that statement. It feels like it is a massive, massive game.
Yeah, I'm with you on the must-win conversation, but I do think that this is a must-win for the reasons I just laid out. You lose this, that's 5 in a row. At that point, you're like, this is just a bad football team. And I'm not so sure it's not, but at that point, this is a bad football team. And yeah, can they win a handful more games? Yeah, great. Will be. But you win this one. You suddenly are 2 back in the loss column. Pittsburgh's got a bear of a schedule over the next 3 games. In fact, they've got 2 out of their next 4 games. 3 of them are primetime games. And I'm drawing a blank on who they are, but all their next, other than the Bengals, the 3 after the Bengals are all really good opponents. You get to 5-4 at the bye. Pittsburgh now may have 4 losses at the bye, or 3 probably at the best. And guess who you get to play right after the bye? Pittsburgh. And so then you got a chance to maybe even be battling for first place on that first game after the bye.
After this game in Cincinnati, the Steelers host the Packers the following week at 8:20 on Sunday night. Then they have the Colts at home, who obviously are playing very well. And then they play the Chargers, but it's in San Diego.
Right.
Or Los Angeles, sorry.
Yeah, I did a hit on a Baltimore radio station yesterday. They have me on every couple of weeks, and they kind of do an AFC North whip around where they have reports from each city. And I followed the Pittsburgh guy and got to hear kind of the last question asked of him about that upcoming schedule. And the host said, he goes, maybe that Indy game gets flexed to prime time. And he goes, oh my, 4 primetime games in a row from a reporter standpoint. No, thank you. And I'm thinking, I guess it could get flexed. I mean, I don't know what they may be at the max already for all I know, but yeah, I mean, that would be something to have 4 primetime games in a row.
Yeah. Not ideal from the media standpoint for sure. All right. I think that's good stuff on the Bengals there. Thank you for all that, Skinny. Let's switch gears here to college football, where the Bearcats are ranked for the first time since 22, number 24 after beating UCF 20-11. Man, watching this game, it was funny because it felt clunky. It felt weird. It felt scrappy and competitive, but those 2 early touchdowns between Sorsby and Jeff Caldwell, both of them were great throws from Sorsby, and that's all they ended up needing. That was enough to win the game right there, even though it felt like it was a weird, low-scoring game the whole time, and it was.
But the thing about this team now is listen, you've won 2 games with basically your offense because they had a hard time stopping Kansas. Iowa State, once it got rolling, was hard to stop. So you really won 2 games with your offense, and now you won a game with your defense. I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, and that quarterback, Cam Fancher, he's a problem. He's a tough matchup. He can really run the football, rushed for over 100 yards in this game. Like, that was not an easy offense to prepare for, I think. And I thought they had a really nice game plan there.
I'm with you. And I think that's the thing, if I'm a UC fan, is I watch what my offense is capable of. And they had their capable moments in this game, to your point. But then you need your defense to kind of hang on. And they did, although we both got the backdoor cover we talked about from last week.
Yeah, we did. They didn't give up a touchdown until there was like 2 minutes left in the game.
And that looked like
enough to get that cover.
I swear. So we're in a bar in Milwaukee, and I swear to you, it felt like they had the ball for like an hour in that last, because the whole time I said I need UCF for the backdoor cover, man. I need them badly. And so the whole time we're rooting for the backdoor cover. I'm like, is this drive ever going to end one way or another?
It was a strange game the whole way. It really was just a weird game to watch, but I was impressed by what UC did. I thought there was an important moment right at the end of the first half where UCF got the ball back. UC had just scored to take their 2-score lead, and UCF has the ball under 2 minutes to go in the half, and they start moving it. And like, if I'm a UC fan in that moment, I'm going, oh no, here we go again. Another one of these last minute of the half, ruin a great first half that we just played, great defensive half. We're going to give up a cheap touchdown or something, and it's going to go into halftime, a close game again. But they held them to a field goal there, took the 17-3 lead in the half, and I thought, oh, they're winning this game. Like, right when that happened, I was like, oh, they're good to go. Like, they're going to win this game, and their defense just kept right on trucking. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention, Skinny, that I've been really impressed by with UC. I was thinking, man, it seems like when they get in the red zone, they punch that thing in, or, I mean, they always come out with points, but they punch that thing in. So I went to look it up. You know what they are in the red zone this year, percentage-wise? Scores, period?
Scores or touchdowns?
Scores, period. What their percentage is in the red zone.
I'll go 92%.
100. They are 24 of 24 in the red zone. So, like, it was one of those weird things where, like, I'm watching them and going, man, they don't always get there. They have some goofy things that happen occasionally, but they seem to always score when they get down here. And it is 18 touchdowns, 6 field goals, 24 of 24 after looking up. That's really impressive to me.
Well, the 18 of 24 for touchdowns is impressive.
Right. That's my point. It's like they almost always punch it in, and when they don't, they can kick it. But I'm impressed by the way UC has looked the last few weeks. Like you said, offense and defense feels like they've got the kind of full package rolling right now. This is the best they've looked in a long time.
Yeah, no, I agree. They got obviously a very winnable game this week against Oklahoma State and come back home for Baylor. I mean, you could be setting up a showdown for first place in the Big 12, although I think Texas Tech's probably going to win it, and UC does not control their destiny there. They don't play Texas Tech, but you play at Utah on November the 1st. You should, the way they're playing right now, you should go into that game undefeated in the Big 12, and that'll be something. Yeah,
no doubt. All right, Ohio State, number 1 team in the country, beat Illinois 34-16. You know, Illinois got blasted by Indiana 63-10. We had talked about that as we were getting ready for this game. And then watching that defense that gave up 63 points to Indiana, I thought they came out with a pretty good game plan of not rushing Julian Sayin, just keeping everyone back in coverage and trying to make him dink and dunk his way down the field. And like, I know they lost the game and they really had no chance to win it, but I thought they did what they could against Ohio State's offense, honestly. They kind of held them in check.
I'm just disappointed Ohio State's defense. They give up a touchdown. I mean, what are they doing, man?
Yeah. I going back to Sayin, though, I thought he was 19 of 27 in this one for 166 yards. So the numbers, it does look like the defense held him in check. But man, if you were watching that game, that dude made some impressive throws too. And he's so accurate. I mean, again, 19 for 27, had the 2 touchdowns. They did score. Part of the thing too is when you look at his numbers, they scored 3 touchdowns off of turnovers. Right. So he had short fields to work with.
Right. That's right. But they are still, it's like literally they are way up here, and Miami, which is number 2, is about, I mean, the gap feels huge, does it not?
That's what I keep saying. And I'm trying not to be like over the top about Ohio State. I know you still have to play the games. I know college football can be goofy regardless of what your records say. But when you watch the rest of the teams around the country, it feels like whoever you want to include in that group of national title contenders, let's say it's 2 through 6 right now or something, those teams feel so far away from where Ohio State's at. It's like they're still trying to find certain areas of their team. They're trying to figure things out. Ohio State feels like they are a well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, I mean, they can beat you running it. They can beat you throwing it. They certainly can beat you defense. I mean, you're not scoring a bunch of points on that defense. 16 is probably the max.
You mentioned Miami being number 2. What did you think about Indiana not getting the nod there at number 2?
I mean, that's a heck of a win to go to Oregon and win the way they won. I think it's the case of it's hard to leapfrog an unbeaten. I think that's a tough thing to do. But I got to tell you this, man, Curt Cignetti, you can talk about his arrogance. You can talk about his cockiness, all those things. Can't do it can't say it to him if he doesn't keep backing it up, and he keeps backing it up. I mean, it felt like last year was like one of those fluky years where everything happened right. This is just Indiana. And then they got to the playoffs and got smacked, and you're like, okay, that's probably what should have happened. You do it back-to-back years in this era at an Indiana? Sign me up for that. And, oh, by the way, he's got Mark Cuban money behind him. This could go on for a while.
Yeah, Coach Sig, I'm all in on. I love it. Even the arrogance, even the goofy press conference things he says, like he's funny to me, and I think he's really good. Like,
yeah,
this Ohio State win over Illinois made me more impressed by Indiana because they kicked the crap out of Illinois. I know it's a home game. I know the game got away from Illinois, but Illinois did not look like an incompetent team, and especially not an incompetent defense against Ohio State in this game. And Indiana beat them by 53 points.
No, right.
That's crazy. That to me almost made me want to say Indiana should be the number 1 team in the country.
Like, dude, I'll be honest with you. I thought they were going to go to Oregon and get their complete comeuppance. I really did. I thought, okay, man, this is cute. You're rolling along in cute style again. You're going to go to Oregon and get a smackdown. Nope. Go to Oregon and win by 10. Yeah.
You could argue that they have the best resume without a doubt. And I mean, like, I don't even know. It's not argue. I think they do have the best resume in my opinion. But I understand them not being ranked number 1. I still think Ohio State, there's a gap between them and everyone else. But Indiana to me is that next best team that I've seen.
They might be. They might just be.
All right. Another national topic here real quick. What was your take on James Franklin getting the boot from Penn State already?
So watching that game, in a sports bar where fans were rooting again. It was funny. The mutual hatred for James Franklin. Because there's some Wisconsin fans in this bar, right? And Wisconsin was getting the crap kicked out of him. In fact, one guy just yelled out for no good reason, "Fire Luke Fickell!" Of course. But everybody was rooting. It felt like it was rooting against Penn State. And when it was over, I kind of half joked. I said, he's going to get fired tomorrow. And I didn't really mean it. I just said it. I'm like, they're not going to fire that dude with that kind of a buyout. They had to, though. They really had to.
I did see my guy Dan sent me some screenshot. I think it was from Reddit. It was like fans posting on Reddit from Wisconsin. And someone said, Luke Fickell was never going to work out. He's not fat.
It's a fair point.
That's like, just doesn't work at Wisconsin.
Yeah. Brett Bielema was fat. What was the guy before? I'm drawing a complete blank. Barry Alvarez was fat. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be a fat coach at Wisconsin or they're just not going to trust you. You're not going to get enough leash.
So let me ask you this, Rick. And you've brought this point up before. So they paid James Franklin roughly a $50 million buyout. Some of that money can go away if he gets hired by another school. It would offset it.
By the way, that's why I think they were willing to fire him and eat that buyout right now because he's going to get another job. Like, they fired him at a time where it's still early enough that someone else and probably a decent program is going to go, we'll take James Franklin if you're not happy with that.
I'll be honest with you. I think James Franklin's a goof. I do think he's a good coach. I mean, if Kentucky moves on from Mark Stoops, brother.
Or Wisconsin, right? If you're Wisconsin, you wouldn't take what James Franklin just did the last few years?
Right.
Hell yeah, you would.
No, I think you're right about that part.
So if you're Penn State, you're sitting there looking at it, it's like, yeah, it's $8 million a year, but if he makes $6 million a year, $5 million a year, Wisconsin next year, we can eat $3 million a year.
Correct. The problem with the Stoops buyout is there's no offset language in there, to my knowledge. It's like literally 30 days after they let him go, you owe him $38 million.
In lump sum?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
God, if that's accurate, we'll never get rid of him.
I don't know if it's spread out. And so I just know there's no offset language in that from what I understand.
Even that's just enough to make, you have to hang on to him then. You can't get rid of him.
Unfortunately, that's probably accurate. But I want to go back to your point. So we're seeing these massive buyouts, right? Jimbo Fisher got $75 million. The goof nut at Michigan State would have, but they found a way to fire him for cause, Derek Mason. Franklin's $50 million again. There's some offset language, which is probably going to help soften the blow there. Stoops, to my point, I think you're going to start seeing these contracts are not going to happen on college. The board of trustees are going to simply say, nope, because we got to now pay players. We ain't paying coaches this X amount of money and have to pay them off in the end. Nope, we're not doing this any longer. I think you're going to see the structure go the other way.
I was talking to a college basketball coach about James Franklin yesterday, and he's like, look, I want coaches to get the biggest buyouts possible, all the money they can get. He's like, I'm not against any of this because it benefits me at some way, some form. He's like, but he's like, is there no level of fiscal responsibility by these athletic departments, by these powers that be at these schools? Like, how can you continue to do this when it's very obvious that our formula for winning, our recipe for winning has completely shifted? It's not about, it's all about acquiring the best players now and doing your best to retain what you can and put together a roster for the following season. You have to find guys that are good at that first and foremost. He's like, but even if you can't figure that part out, at least just spend as much money as you can on the players. And I'm like, man, I've been pretty much saying that same thing ever since I brought up the UK thing last year when Stoops was complaining after the Georgia loss. Like, you want to compete with Georgia? Give me more money. It's like, bud, you might not want to be talking about that right now.
That's right. That's right.
Because at some point, the schools are going to realize that, and they're going to say, we're not paying coaches anymore. We're going to pay the players. But look, there's still obviously huge value in having one of the best coaches. Like, look around the country. It's not like there's any less clamoring for fire our coach and hire the best guy out there. The fan bases all want that big named coach.
Yeah, I just don't think you're going to see contracts like this. And I just don't.
I hope not. I hope we get away from that because it just makes absolutely no sense. All right, you want to do our pick 'em real quick here?
Yes.
All right. You were 3-3 last week. I was 3-3 last week, so no movement. You're at 20-22. I'm at 23-19. The Lions and Jags both cost you in your teaser. The Bama only beat Missouri by 3, so both of us lost our favorite bet of the week. We start this week off with the Bengals tomorrow night, Thursday, 8:15. Steelers are a 5.5-point favorite. Bengals getting a little respect there. The total is 42.5.
I'm going to go with the Mike Tomlin Thursday night thing where he just isn't very good for whatever reason on Thursday nights. And I think the Bengals did find some juice in the second half, and I do think it carries over. The fact it's at home is a big thing. I'm going Bengals 27-23.
Bengals 27-23, so that is definitely the over there, and the Bengals to cover as well. I'm going 21-17 Steelers. So the Steelers win, the Bengals cover, and it goes under. All right, Saturday at 3:30, we have Ohio State at Wisconsin. The Buckeyes are a 26.5-point favorite. The total is 41.5. This is a tough one for me, Skinny.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that regard because it is on the road. Wisconsin's just so bad, and they look so beaten down. And honestly, I'm not so sure if they don't get a beat down here that Luke Fickell isn't fired immediately after the game. I mean, it feels like that. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever seen a trend in college football with all these midseason firings. We had, 3 over the past weekend?
Yeah, and there's already been a handful before that. I mean, this coaching carousel is shaping up to be absolutely nuts.
I mean, usually you wait till the end and maybe fire the guy before the last game or something like that, or even at the end of the year. But, man, I think this is the game that eventually cost Luke Fickell his job. I'm going to go Ohio State 37, Wisconsin nothing. They're so bad on offense.
All right, so Ohio State and the under there. I'm going to go the over here because I think Ohio State might get it themselves against I think Wisconsin is a disaster. I think they're going to roll over at some point in this game. I'm going to go Ohio State 45, Wisconsin 6. So Ohio State and the over for me. I feel like we're both going to be sitting there in the third quarter regretting that we took a 26.5-point spread for a road team, but I just can't bet on Wisconsin here. I can't do it. All right, Saturday at 7, we've got Texas at Kentucky. The Longhorns are a 12.5-point favorite. The total is 42.5.
Listen, Kentucky's not a great team by any shakes, but
nor is Texas for that matter.
Nor is Texas. I mean, they look so bad on offense. I think Texas wins this game, but I do think Kentucky keeps it close. I'll go Texas 19, Kentucky 17.
That is one hell of a score right there. So Kentucky covers and the under there. We're lockstep in terms of our picks here. I went Texas 24, Kentucky 14. So Kentucky covers the number and it stays under for me as well. And that brings us to Saturday night at 8 p.m. We've got Cincinnati at Oklahoma State. The Bearcats are 21.5-point favorite. The total is 57.5.
The hook bothers me, man. Oklahoma State's awful. I mean, they're horrifying. I mean, there's another coach that was fired, obviously. Mike Gundy got fired. I mean, talk about an institution. He was an institution there in many ways as a player and as a coach. and had great success. Not just good, he had great success, and they moved on from him. Not this year, obviously, or not last year. I think the hook gets you here. I'm going to go UC 37, Oklahoma State 20.
That's hilarious. So I'm going 38-17. I've got it right at 21. That the hook will get you there. I think you're right on here. You are at the under though because of the hook there. It's 57.5. You're at 57 exactly. So you're going Oak State and the under. Whereas I like the under as well. Actually, I'm at 55. So, all right, we're both on Oklahoma State at the under. We're both on Kentucky and the under. Not a lot of opportunities to separate here, but what do you have for us in terms of your favorite bet of the week?
I don't understand this line. I just don't. It's a college football game. And I know probably I'm putting more value on what they just did, but I can't discount what they just did either. Northwestern's only a 3-point favorite at home over Purdue. And this is more about against Purdue than anything else. Purdue, since their first 2 bye-win games over Ball State and Southern Illinois, here's their following scores. 33-17 loss at home to USC, 56-30 loss at Notre Dame, 43-27 loss at home to Illinois, and they just lost at Minnesota 27-20. And they're going to Northwestern, which is 4-2, and Northwestern's coming off the win over Penn State. And we can talk about Penn State's in woe is me mode. Maybe, probably, yeah, don't doubt it. But they're only laying 3. This is more a bet against Purdue than it is a bet on Northwestern, in my opinion.
And I love those types of bets. I love where you feel like you've got a team that just stinks and it's like, all right, I'm going to pick on them. I like that one a lot. I'll tell you what I wanted to do that I'm just not sure if it's not really my favorite bet of the week, considering I just gave out a number smaller than this, but I'd love to go Cincinnati over total points. The problem is that
by themselves.
Yeah. The problem is it's at 40.5. So, I mean, they put it up there, but here's what Oklahoma State has done on defense the last 3 weeks.
It's brutal.
Gave up 39 to Houston, gave up 41 to Arizona, gave up 45 to Baylor. I really would like for that UC number to be like 35, and I would take it 100%. At 40.5, I don't know. It's tough. Maybe find a way to tease that. You do an alternate line or something and pin it with something else.
The problem there is, Rick, is if they get off to like a big lead and they turn to just playing ball control at that point, or you just have a quarter of there's only a couple of 3 or 4 possessions. Yeah, that's the risk you run. I did that with SMU. It cost me a parlay a couple of weekends ago where I can't remember who they were playing, but I was mostly taking their offense. I think their total was like 37.5, and they were at, I think, 30 going into the fourth quarter. I needed 2 scores, but I'm like, I can get 2 scores in this quarter, and I didn't. And it does like, how did that not happen? Because it's football.
Well, and that's the same thing. Like I just read off those numbers to you of what that defense has given up, Oklahoma State, the last 3 games. And yet I'm taking the under in that game overall because it's 57.5. It's like a 57.5 point. If you have 6 minutes throughout the game where they kind of sit on the ball for a minute or no one goes anywhere, it's like that over is done for the most part. I mean, you have to be in constant scoring mode basically when you take a spread like that. All right. So anyways, long story short, I don't have a bet I love this week, but for my favorite bet, I'm going to go with Ole Miss plus 7.5 at Georgia. He's been so good against Kirby Smart. I just think that game's within a score. So.
And I think to that point, they obviously are coming off of a game where they played awful against Oregon State and won. But how much do you think that was like the classic trap game look ahead to Georgia game for them, right?
Feels like it a little bit. And I know it's on the road, and I'll maybe regret this. I don't love it, but it's my favorite bet of the week, I think, right now. I've got a lot of confidence in our guy Joey Freshwater, and I think he'll get it done. He'll keep it within a score at least. All right.
Do you want to talk road trip now or road trip after Ask Skinny anything?
Let's add road trip to Ask Skinny anything. Okay. Real quick, let's get this college basketball news out of the way because there's a little bit of a story here in the local college basketball world with Cincinnati. Is their big man Jalen Haynes is going to be out indefinitely with some type of lower body injury. It was just announced on Tuesday, but he transferred from George Mason. He averaged 14 points, 7 rebounds, big body, wide body in the post, was expecting to add some face-up skill in terms of like seeing the offense and everything. Good passer, known as that, good scorer, but also just a big wide body down low that had some brute force. What's your take on how big of a loss this is?
Well, I mean, were you going to play him and Shame at the same time?
I don't think he's a starter based on what I've heard.
Well,
I could be wrong.
But that's what I'm asking. I mean, if you were going to play them both at the same time, and I don't think you were, then it would be a significant loss. And I'm not discounting 14-7. And honestly, I'm not so sure George Mason wouldn't have beat UC last season. So I don't want to discount that. Those are nice numbers and a good program. But you've got a post guy, and you've got a backup post guy. I mean, was this guy going to play 18 minutes, 22 minutes? Were they going to play together? That's the part for me where I can't discount the numbers being a loss and the potential for what he could. But if we're just talking about a guy who's going to play 18 minutes to spell, I always miss his name because it's spelled Thaim, but it's pronounced Shime or whatever, however you pronounce his name. But if he's going to play 28 minutes a game and this guy's going to play 12, is it a big loss?
Yeah, and I mean, you still have Baba Miller in there who they added, who's a long front court player. So I don't think he was going to be a starter. I don't know exactly what his role was going to be in terms of minutes. You also still have the local product in Tyler McKinley, who redshirted last year after the ACL. Who knows where he's at this point? I haven't heard a lot of buzz about him coming up, so I don't expect him to have a big role. But you also have a couple of wing type players that maybe you slide down to foursome in a smaller lineup. So I don't think it's like they have a major hole in their rotation now that they can't fill. I do think they no longer have a piece that they otherwise can't replay. I mean, they don't have another wide body, 260-pound low block player that they can put in there. Everyone else is kind of lanky, more for their athleticism and length. They're out there for their length and athleticism than they are their ability to bury their ass into you in the post. So you lose that option and that ability, but I don't think it's like something that you can't make up for from a rotation standpoint.
No, I agree with that.
All right. Why don't you start off asking anything by talking about this Milwaukee trip? Because I want to hear this.
All right. So a handful of us a couple of weeks ago were looking for flights to Milwaukee, right? And we could, I mean, it was like connections were long. We weren't going to get back from Monday press conference stuff. The prices were outlandish, and we're not paying the bill. I mean, it's expense to our company, but you're also not trying to gouge your company to the point where they go, you spent a little too much on the flight to Milwaukee, my guy. Yeah. So I'm like lamenting this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Paul Daner Jr. at one point goes, do you book your flight from Milwaukee? And I said, man, I can't find one that's going to work either time-wise or cost-wise. He goes, you want to drive? I go, sure. He goes, I'll rent a car. We'll split the drive. I said, okay, sure. Sounds good. Well, then James Rapine decided he wanted to take a couple of guys that work for him, including Jay Morrison. And he overheard us. He goes, I booked a flight, but I can cancel it. He goes, why don't we all drive up together? So 5 of us hauled up there together. The ride-up's fun, right? It's a Saturday.
What type of car were you in here?
I can't.
SUV?
It had 2 front seats, a middle section, and then a back section of seats.
Oh, yeah. 3rd row. We're good then.
Yeah, and I actually took the far back, had a couple of suitcases next to me, but had plenty of room, so it worked out great. So the write-up, it's a Saturday morning, right? We're talking about college football. Time flew. And so we go to our hotel, and we were going to go have lunch and then probably figure out what bar we were going to go to. So we Uber to this bar called Leff's, Leff, apostrophe S. Really nice little bar and great food. And so we sit down at like 2:00, and it's the end of the noon window for football, and kind of the 3:30 window starts. And we met another guy who used to work in town, and his wife, who he now covers the Bucks in Milwaukee. So they came to the bar around, 4 or 5. So next thing we know, it's like 6:00, and we say, you know what? We're just going to stay here. So we cash out our first bill. The second bill, and we all had individual bills because those were the ones we were going to expense. It was lunch, maybe a drink or two you put on there. The rest is on you. We proceeded to roll up a $260 bar bill amongst ourselves after we'd already cashed out a bar bill.
Well done.
But the cool part was, so again, it got to be like the time for the Brewer game to start. And now this bar is packed. And we're like, we're just going to stay here. Dude, I hate to do this to like Reds fans, but man, if you could get back to that that was so cool to be in a bar where everybody was into every pitch, like every pitch. I mean, I was, as you can imagine, a little loaded. I started getting up the chant, let's go Brew Crew. I had the whole bar doing it. people are high-fiving us left and right. They don't even know that we're not Brewers fans. They don't even know we're not from there. The game ends and the place just erupts. I mean, it was just so loud when they got that final out. All of a sudden, I feel this big hug from behind me. Some random woman gives me a big hug, and I'm like, what universe are we in? Paul got to go spin a wheel of prizes somehow and won an free appetizer. I mean, it was just the whole place just, when it erupted, I'm like, this would be fun for Reds fans to be a part of at some point again. It would really be nice that the Reds could get back to this because it was just so cool. Because we actually had thought at one point, we talked about going to the game, but the cheapest ticket was $190, and no reason for that. It was honestly really, really cool to be in the environment. So then we go cover the game. We stay just north of Milwaukee, go to Green Bay, which is about an hour and a half north. Probably work for about 3 hours after the game. All of us have to record a podcast. I have to do a video that we put on YouTube at local12.com. I had a column to do. So I didn't completely finish my column, but it was like we wanted to get on the road by like 9 o'clock Green Bay time, get through Chicago, stay somewhere in northern Indiana, come back and drive home the next day. So Jay Morrison, Paul Dehner drove the whole way up, but Jay Morrison was done with his work. So Paul still had some work to do. I still had some work to do. The other guys had work to do. And so Jay's driving. So we get to just south of where O'Hare Airport is in Chicago. We're not completely through the city traffic yet, but it's by this time it's like 12:30 in the morning, and we still technically 1:30 our time because we lose an hour eventually.
Right.
And so it was my turn to pay for the gas. So I go in to pay, yell at Jay. I said, "Hey, we're gonna all get something in here." He goes, "Okay." So he's pumping the gas. Jay loves to drive, mind you. Jay is he loves to drive. I don't know why, but he loves to drive. So he goes in, he goes, "I'm going to get a coffee in a 5-hour and get something to eat." So he goes in, and we're all standing outside, just kind of staying stretching. And I looked at Paul. I said, "This crazy SOB is going to do it, isn't he?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He drove us all the way home. Got back where we met on North Bend Road at 5:15 in the morning. Hardly got any sleep, and we had to go to, Zach Taylor had a press conference. There was open locker room period on Monday morning. I still can't. He drove all the way from Green Bay home after working a full day. And trust me, I know nobody wants to hear this. When you work an NFL Sunday in our business, I mean, you're beat up. It's a long day. It's intense. You feel like when it's over with, like you just got hit by a ton of bricks. It usually takes me a full day to recover. And on top of that, my man drove the whole way home.
Yeah, that's impressive. But I also say I'm in the J mindset. It's like once I'm out there and I'm on the road, I can stay up. I did the overnight shift for years. I can stay up until whenever. I'd rather just get home and rather than stay in a hotel and restart the whole day somewhere. It's like, to me, it's like, let's just do it. We're already on the road, but man, that is a long ass day for him.
And so I knew somebody had to stay up with him, and I can't sleep in the car anyway. So I stayed up the whole time. I didn't realize Andrew, who was with James and Jay, who was sitting in front of me, he was actually watching a show, but I thought he had nodded off. He had his headphones on and was just watching. So he was awake too. But Paul and Rapine nodded off. Rapine nodded off to the point at one point, they took a screenshot of it. He had started a story, and all the story had was a bunch of R's, then a bunch of Z's, and then a bunch of the number 3s where he had like leaned on the keyboard.
Fell asleep on it.
Yes, it's great. It's great.
What's it like as you all are trying to get work done in the car simultaneously? Does everyone go quiet and like have headphones in? Or are you guys kind of like bitching at each other and low tolerance or what?
No, I think we all had our quotes transcribed and all that stuff. So we were just writing for the most part. So that part was fine. It's a little cumbersome, like you're typing like this, but it wasn't bad. It made at least about an hour and a half fly by. I mean, like I looked up and I'm like, are we through Milwaukee already?
That's the one. I've made that trip a bunch because NKU plays the Milwaukee Green Bay swing. So a lot of times we get to fly that, but there's sometimes where we've had to drive at least a leg of it. So I've definitely done that. But also I love working in a car. Like Jim Kelch usually drives all our NKU trips the whole way. So a lot of times I got Xavier stuff going on. So I'm sitting there in my laptop in the back seat. I get a hotspot, and it makes 3 or 4 hours just disappear like that.
Right.
And by the time you get home, you're all done with your work. So
no, you're right.
Not the worst thing. What any other stories that emerge? I will say the Brewers bar situation. You're so right about that. Basketball is my favorite sport by far. I'd go football next easily, and distant third is baseball. But there is nothing like. I mean, the last time the Reds had a playoff game is however small, not this wild card scenario, but before this, I remember being at Long Necks watching it, and people are losing their mind with every pitch and cheering every pop-up out, everything. It was like, it's a different world of baseball when you're in the playoffs.
I mean, we were there from 2 to midnight, so you can imagine what shape we were in rolling back
Good
to the
God.
hotel in an Uber. It was, I mean, there's a video of me stumbling out of the Uber and another guy faking a heart attack, and it was.
But
it
your
was
elbows are good?
What's that?
Your elbows are good though? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't fall. I just stumbled out of the Uber. I didn't fall. I kind of rolled out. So, yeah, I knew it would be kind of cool to be in there when the Brew. I just didn't realize how cool that was to be in there in that atmosphere. I mean, that made Saturday really worthwhile.
All right, I've got a handful of asking you anything questions here. Do you want me to run through them or do you want me to save them for next week?
No, let's do it. We can do it real quick.
All right. If you could attend one sporting event from the past, what would it be? I think we've had this question before, but it comes up. It's not a bad question.
I think the first Super Bowl and then when you look back and you realize how big of a deal it turned into, like, I don't think it was that big of a deal back then.
That's a great point. Yeah, like that was just like a new inaugural event they were going to do, right? Try this thing out.
I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the story goes the Super Bowl came out of Lamar Hunt's daughter talking about, remember there used to be you may not, it was back in the day, a thing called Super Bowl. There was it was a bit rubberized ball you played with. And all of a sudden he's like, well, why don't we call this the Super Bowl? Voila.
And that's how it started. All right. It's the first Super Bowl. That's a good answer. What's the best betting system or strategy Skinny has ever heard of?
I mean, doing like having a bankroll. I don't do this, but I think this is the way to go. Having a legit bankroll, whatever it is, $200, $500, $1,000, whatever you save, and making straight bets at like 2% of your bankroll. I mean, if your bankroll goes up, obviously your bet goes up. Your bankroll goes down, obviously your bets go down. That's probably the best way. I don't adhere to it. I just like to throw a little bit of money into parlays. And like I said, like this past weekend, I hit one parlay and I made a slight profit. And I probably made 10 to 12 parlays or teasers. I've done the straight stuff before. I'm just so bad at picking singular games that it feels, I always feel empowered when I made 10 straight $10 bets today. And then I go 3 and 7. I'm like, well, I'm an idiot because I lost money today.
That might have been what this person was asking for. When I asked this question, I was thinking we were going to get like, well, yeah, my buddy Jimmy the Greek used to say that you bet on, fat white guys on Thursdays or something. Like I wanted like something goofy there. You don't have any goofy ones?
Have you heard of the dead cat bounce? You've heard of that, right?
I've heard of the dead cat bounce.
Well, we had a lot of them this week. Like take Penn State, take who did Trent Dillon take UAB? Last week, Jay Morris, as we're driving up in the car, he goes, I know you're going to hate this. I made a dead cat bounce bet today. I took Arkansas plus 12.5. And I went, well, he covered. They did cover.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Do you shift from short pants to long pants before you change your tops? This was piggybacking off our conversation from last week where we talked about the pants, what type of pants you like to wear.
No, I think I'll wear a 3/4 zip with summertime short pants. If it's like 55 degrees out, that's probably the cutoff-ish, maybe 60, but I'll do that on occasion. I'll wear a 3/4 zip with shorts.
That's what I thought. You switched to the quarter zip in the sleeves before you switched to pants, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that would be correct.
Yeah, that's what I feel like most people probably do that. It's like you want a little something up top, but you don't really need your legs covered. But fall weather.
Fact, I think initially. The Bengals practice last week for some reason was a little cool, and that's what I had on. And I actually just brought the 3/4 zip because I knew I was going to stand outside for the most part during the day. I just wore a golf shirt and shorts, but standing outside for a half hour, I'm like, it's a little not cold, but it's a little chilly. I'll put the 3/4 zip on. It felt fine.
We're right at like the tip of prime quarter zip season. It's just starting to hit those mornings. It's like, oh, I need it. Then you go in there with pride and your chest puffed out, like, let's go, middle-aged men. All right. Does Skinny have a favorite NFL broadcaster?
Oh man, nationally, I'll go Al Michaels. I mean, he's such a gold standard for me. I've never heard a broadcast where I go, man, that guy sucks. And he's in his 80s and he's still good at it.
Do you like him and Herb Street together? I know a lot of people seem to not.
I know Herb Street's polarizing for people. I know people hate the damn dog and all that. I think Kirk's really good, though. I do.
I do, too. I don't know why he gets the hate.
I don't either.
I mean, the dog thing I get. That's annoying, whatever. But like from an actual analyst standpoint, why do people not like him?
Yeah, I can see why people don't like Collinsworth because I think he is a goof. But I also think Chris has some sound stuff that he says sometimes too. I just like a Phil Simms was like the master of the obvious. Yeah, let's look at that play again. He dropped back, and here comes the end, and the end tackled him, and he went to the ground. Right. Thank you.
Phil Simms is horrible. Let's be honest. He was a disaster. I'm honestly, I can't stand Romo at this point. Like, it's just nonstop.
Yeah, but I mean, Jim Nance is still a gold standard too. I mean, there's never a sport that he does that I'm ever annoyed at. Sean McDonough I like too. I mean, he doesn't do NFL, but he does a lot of college sports, obviously. I think he's really good. But honestly, I swear I don't think I've ever once gone, Al Michaels really is off his game. No, I've never heard him be off his game. I mean, he's solid technically. He's got a sense of humor. I just think he's so good at everything.
I like Al too. I think the knock on him right now with the Thursday night thing is that people say he doesn't care, that he's not like into the games or excited. But also I think part of that is just we've had a shift now where it's like all these guys are kind of leaning towards the Sadak, the John Fanta thing where it's screaming and doing goofy stuff all the time.
Gus Johnson.
Yeah, to where it's like a normal traditional broadcaster, the standard for years and years and years is an understated broadcast. It's an impartial broadcast. So I think it's more so like guys like Al Michaels, they're doing your typical traditional broadcast. And now we've started, the culture started to shift a little bit. So fans want like more yelling and silliness, I think. And that's why he gets criticized for that. I think he's really good still.
Of kind of the screamers and he does some TV, but he also does the Monday night games on radio. Kevin Harlan, I think, is really good.
He's the best of the sillies.
Yeah.
By far. Yeah. He does his sound is just so good to listen to.
It is. It just
feels
between the numbers. Caught at the 35. It's like, it's just, he does. And he's the king of the sillies. That's the best way to put that.
Yeah, like he's actually really, really good at it, and it sounds really good and really professional. But he's also, when it's time to be silly, he's the funniest of the bunch. Like he's actually got real humor. It's not just like screaming at the top of his lungs and being fat, like most of the other current play-by-play broadcasters. All right, the last one here. What's the one part of your daily routine that you'd skip if you could? For me, it's shaving. That's what the person said here.
Yeah, I just hate a beard. I shave every day. I mean, I guess if I'm not going out somewhere, I'll skip a day shaving.
Well, I think his point here is like it would be taken care of for you. Like you would just, whatever it is, let's say it's like brushing your teeth or doing the laundry or whatever, it would just happen automatically. You no longer have to do it.
As goofy as it sounds, putting the right amount of product in my hair. Like I don't put a lot.
Wait, you're a product in your hair guy?
Yeah, just to hold the part.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, I mean, just to hold the part. Like I've tried different products and for some reason my wife went to the store. I said, I need some hair product and if you can get me this, and she did, and she got Brill cream. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try it. Just a little dab will do. Yeah, I remember the commercial from back in the day. So the first time I put it in, I'm like, it only said put a dime size amount on your finger, right? I'm like, that can't be enough. So I put a bunch of my hair, put it in. It looked like I hadn't washed my hair in a month. So I literally had to go rewash my hair again. And so I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it. I'll put the dime size thing in. So I put it in and I'm like, this is never going to hold apart. Well, it did, but then it still looked greasy. And I'm like, well, I can't use this crap. So I finally found, I can't remember what it is. I found something I like, but I only had a trial size bottle of it. So I have to go get some more.
I'm not going to lie. That blew my mind. I've known you for a long time. I never would have guessed you had anything in your hair or would even be willing to put anything in your hair.
Yeah, no, whatever product is, I make sure it's something that's going to eventually dry out, but I got
you don't notice.
I have my hair, I got a lot of it. I'm proud that I have a lot of it. It's really thin. My hair is really, really thin.
Yeah. I don't really have the hair product issue.
I'm sorry for that. That probably hit home in a bad way for you. I'm sorry, Rick.
No, I think that's a your generation thing. Like I never cared at all about hair or going bald. I don't think most of guys my age do, but like the guys right above us make a huge deal out of it. Like all the guys your age comment to me like, oh man, sorry. No,
it's funny because you pull it off. Daner pulls it off. I think it's the whole back in the day, guys tried to hang on to whatever remnants of hair they had left as opposed to going to hell with it. Goodbye.
Yeah. I think maybe that's it. Like you guys were real worked up. Like every guy that's around your age thinks it's a huge deal, but like I never thought once about shaving all my hair off. I was I did it way before I needed to.
Lou Henson, Gene Katie. I mean, Gene Katie's hair, God love him, man. What were you trying to do? Just either wear the toupee or just shave it off, bro.
There's nothing worse than hanging on to your hair after it's thinning or receding or whatever. That is a bad look.
No, I'm with you on that. It is what it is. What would be the one thing you'd have go away?
Man, I tell you what, I don't even have to. I don't even have to shave every day. Like I just don't grow much facial hair. So I do, man. I kind of do I probably do every day, but it's almost more of like a maintenance thing just so there's nothing there. But like I could go a day in between and no one would really notice, I think. So maybe that, but I would add in now the hair thing. Like I wish I could shave my hair almost every day. It feels amazing when you first shave it, but it's just too much. So like I wait a week. Usually I do it every week.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. I appreciate the questions. We will be back next week. We'll see if the Bengals have progressed to win number 3 or if Armageddon's coming and we talk about what to do to tear this team down and rebuild it. It's going to be one way or the other, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to be happy or we're going to be sad, as my friend's late dad would say.
No question. For Rick Breuer, I'm Richard Skinner. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly poll pre-edition presented by Blake, the Attorney Maislin.